Yeah, so the topic for this, I think, 4 hours session is on Eightfold Path, which is a very essential teaching in Buddhist practice. So I will try my best to, to have quite a loose sharing, and and hopefully that everyone have some apprehension of this teaching and this practice. So Tal have suggested maybe we have a short 2 breaks during these 4 hours. So I kind of thinking maybe about 1 hour we do teaching, then after that 15 minutes maybe question answer, then after that maybe about 15 minutes a break, then another 1 hour teaching, then 15 minutes question answer break, then teaching again, question answer, we conclude. So hopefully this is kind of a rough plan, but sometime I kind of go out of the plan. So we see how it goes. But before we start the talk, in order to make all of our time meaningful, most importantly, we are able to accumulate positive energy, virtues, and merits, so that we can able to share that merit to the rest of the numberless sentient beings' well-being. And ourselves, our own system accumulating dharma and virtues and positive energy, or the merits, that itself can be great contribution, to the peace and happiness of sentient being. In particularly in today's time, we really need as much as possible, even it can be just one person's effort, try to collect it and contribute to the peace and happiness and harmony of this planet, as well as the people within this world and everything, where there's a lot of natural disasters, human conflicts, then pandemic, a lot of other diseases. So even one person, even for one moment of accumulating positive energy, I would understand that it's a great contribution to the betterment of the world and the sentient beings' happiness. So, of course, just by discussing Dharma, just by engaging in the Dharma discourse itself has that ability to accumulate, merits and positivities. But on top of that, if we are able to conduct the session with, setting correct positive motivation, in particular altruistic motivation, then our virtue is going to be even more effective. So in order to do that, we generate a heart of great compassion, sincerely, wholeheartedly expressing from the depth of our heart that may my existence, may my engagement in this very session to be complete cause for numberless sentient beings, start with humanity, numberless sentient beings to be free from any form of adversities. And may it be protection to prevent meeting, the condition to any form of adversities, sufferings. Then abide, may our merit, may our time and virtue be the complete cause to abide all the sentient beings in the state of, perfect virtues, the state where there's no more adversities, no more sufferings. So we take a moment to generate this attitude. And those of you, if you have already taken refuge in Buddha Dhamma Sangha, then you can also refresh refuge, complete reliance to Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and bless, our being to be most beneficial like them to the sentient being. So we take a moment to do that. So you can meditate while I recite refuge and Bodhicitta prayer. Sangye Jodan Zoye Jonala, Janju Bado Dani Jasunji, Daji Jinsu Jebe, Sonamji, Rola Benje Sangye Rubarai Sho, Sangye Jodan Zoye Jonala, Janju Bado Dani Jasun, Daji Jinsu Jebe, Sonamji, Rola Benje Sangye Rubarai Sho, Sangye Jodan Zoye Jonala, Janju Bado Dani Jasunji, Daji Jinsu Jebe, Sonam. Rola Benje Sangye Rubarai Jo, Semje Damje Dewadan, Deve Judan, Debra Juje, Semje Damje Dunga Dan, Dunga Judan Tawaj. Semje Damje Dunga Mebe Dewadan Midawa Juje, Semje Damje Nire Jadan Nidan Dave, Danyola Nebra Juroji. Semje Damje Dewadan, Deve Judan, Debra Juje, Semje Damje Dunga Dan, Dunga Judan Tawaj Juje, Semje Damje Dunga Mebe Dewadan Midawa Juje, Semje Damje Nire Jadan Nidan Dave. Tanyola Nebra Juroji, Semje Damje Dewadan, Deve Judan, Debra Juje, Semje Damje Dunga Dan, Dunga Judan Rawa Juje, Semje Damje Dunga Mepe Dewadan Midawa Juje. Semje Damje Nire Jadan Nidan Dave, Tanyola Nebra Juroji. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so the Eightfold Path. So, so very much the teaching on the Eightfold Path is embedded in entire, Buddha Dharma, in entire teachings of the different yanas, different training wheel of Dharma that Buddha have conducted. So it's Eightfold Path. In fact, it is what really defined Buddha Dharma. Eightfold Path is the definition, to understand what really Buddhist teaching is. So, even though there are many different illustrations of Buddha's teaching that we can relate to, like different deities, different manifestations of the Buddhas, then Buddha's replicas like statues, stupas, sculptures, as far as concerned with the practitioner, tantric practitioners, Mahayana Bodhisattva practitioners, then Hinayana practitioners. But all those different forms are very much, example, you can say example, not really the actual, not really the actual Buddha's path. Not exactly, what Buddhism is. You can find Buddhism in them. You can find Buddhism in, different the names of the Buddhas. You can find Buddhism in different deities. You can find Buddhism in different sculptures. But they themselves, it's just, it's just a exemplary, not the actual, Buddhism. So what really the actual Buddhism is the path, the practice, you see, the path and the practice which contain in Buddhas, in deities, that's the Buddhism. The path and practice that contain within the different yanas and different sculptures, that is the Buddhism. Path and the practice that which contain within different practitioners, that is the actual Buddhism, you see. So Buddhism is very much, the solution or the path or the way to get out from all the miseries, all form of, sufferings and its causes, and to reach the destination of, no more sufferings, no more limitations. And that can be delivered directly by the path. You see, so by the path. So when someone contains that path, that person practicing Buddhism is a practitioner of, practitioner of Buddhism. If someone contains perfected path of that, we call it as Buddha, isn't it? As a person who is perfected in all this Eightfold Path, you can call them as a Buddha, who has quite a great extent of practice of this Eightfold Path. You can call as a Bodhisattva. You can call as Arahats. You can call as a good practitioner. When someone that who start to adopt this Eightfold Path as your way of life, as your practice, then you can call as a Buddhist practitioner. So therefore, Eightfold Path is the thing, is the main thing, you know. So therefore, it is a really important subject. So what are the Eightfold Path? The first one is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, right mindfulness or meditation. So the order, it is very much in the scripture. You can find this order, but it is not something, you know, definite to be the order exactly like how I've recited. So, but then arranging in, you know, this order just I've recited also has its own specific meaning. So anyway, I will explain that later. So first of all, as I mentioned at the beginning, that the teachings of Eightfold Path is embedded in all different, you know, turning wheel of the Dharma of the Buddha. And if you refer to the first wheel turning of Buddha's teaching, which is on Four Noble Truths, which Buddha have taught, you know, 49 days after that he have achieved full enlightenment in Deer Park in Saranath. You see, so Buddha taught the reality of, you know, our samsaric existence, the suffering, and where the suffering comes from, the truth of cause of suffering. And then Buddha taught the cessation, which is you know, definitely can be achieved by following the truth of the path. So the in order to achieve the full cessation from entire problem, entire samsara, the way the solution to achieve that is by practicing the path, and that is again the Eightfold Path. You see, and the cessation can be achieved only by abandoning or by eliminating the suffering it is causes. And Eightfold Path is the only way to overcome the causes of the suffering and the suffering. So Eightfold Path is the antidote to the suffering. Eightfold Path is the antidote to overcome the causes of the suffering. So Eightfold Path is the way to actualize the cessation, the nirvana. So therefore, the Eightfold Path very much you can summarize into, you know, two aspects of the path: the conventional aspect of the path, the ultimate aspect of the path, or the attitude aspect of the path and the wisdom aspect of the path. The attitude aspect of the path is the method aspect of the path, which is, you know, such as like right speech, you know, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, you know, right mindfulness. You know, all this, you know, can be categorized within the the method or the attitude or the conventional aspect of the path. Then as far as concerned, the right view and right intention can conclude within the wisdom aspect of the path or the ultimate aspect of the path. So, so you see, so when you illustrate this eight path, you can also, illustrate in relation to the Dharma wheel. Dharma wheel got the 8 spots, and each spot, symbolism of each follow path. So in Buddhist culture, the Dharma wheel is a great symbolism of Buddha Dharma, especially in the Indian tradition, whether to do with the Pali tradition or the Sanskrit tradition. The Dharma wheel, has a great significance to bring about the meaning of the Buddha's teaching. And the will itself is, intertwined, all the entirety of the 8, the link of the spots. So in order the will to, bring it is benefit, the wheel need to be turned, isn't it? So when you turn the wheel of a carriage, then you're able to reach to your destination. And the wheel also cannot be turned only partially. It has to be turned completely, you see. So very much the turning continuum of the wheel very much interdependent on the interconnection of each of the spot. So therefore, the Eightfold Path very much act as a cause and effect. Very much act as a cause and effect. So the when someone want to ready to actualize the ultimate realization, the benefit of the path, then you have to start with that can be delivered through right practice, which is the right mindfulness or the right meditation. But in order to reach there, first, as a practitioner, as a beginner, the first one has to develop a correct view. You see, one has to develop a correct view. When you develop correct view, then you have a correct motivation, correct intention. So with the correct intention, then you will be able to have the right actions of your body, speech, and your physical actions, such as speech and the physical actions. Then on the basis of certain discipline, virtuous discipline of our body and mind, then somehow that we are able to have a right livelihood, to be able to choose right way of living, you see. So by living right livelihood, you see, then our energy, we will have a certain basis to be able to direct, our energy to right effort. So when you have a right effort, then there's a basis for us to develop right concentration. And when we have a right concentration, then we have a basis to develop right mindfulness, in particularly, right absorption mindfulness, which is the meditative absorption. So through meditative absorption, then you in fact actually gain the exalted, you actually gain the realization of the right view. So you come to from the eight, starting from the right view. Now you end to the right view, which is you actually realizing the exalted wisdom. So through the realization of the exalted wisdom, through the realization of the exalted wisdom, then whatever action that you engage, it become, uncontaminated. Any actions of your body, speech, and mind become free of hallucination, free of delusions, free from the influence of the delusions. You see, so when you already have achieved the direct realization on emptiness, by the result of right mindfulness, right meditation, you achieve the direct realization on the wisdom of emptiness. When your system is completely, free from conceptual distractions, then your thinking will be completely free from false, free from committing any form of action which will, deliver samsara. Similar like those of the Arya beings, who have followed the Eightfold Path and who have realized the result, the right view. So once you have realized the direct realization of emptiness, then your thought is completely pure. You see, completely, free from any contamination, because you already realize, the absolute wisdom, that which is free from, entire conceptual false, conceptual false. Within the conceptual mind, there are delusions, all the afflictions are there. You are completely free when you are in the absorption, complete absorption in the exalted wisdom of emptiness directly. Then again, like the wheel turning, because of that, then your intentions are all, great virtue. Or then your speech are all melodious, great virtuous speech. Or then your actions are all beneficial, absolute beneficial. Anything you do, everything becomes beneficial, like the Arya beings, like the Bodhisattvas. Then entire your way of living is completely virtue, in the absolute cause for the benefit of others and for the benefit of your enlightenment. Then entire effort is concentrated effort, completely directed towards the absolute, 100% benefit to the sentient beings and your own, developmental path to enlightenment. Then the concentration wise, is an absorption concentration, not kind of ordinary concentration, you see. Then the mindfulness become special insight, You see, what we learn from Lamrim, you know, the special insight, the mindfulness or the meditative state is a special insight. It becomes a special insight, which has the capability to be antidote even to the most subtle defilement, the obscuration of omniscience. And because of that capability, then again you come to the right view. You know, you actualize the Buddha's omniscient. You know, the Buddha's wisdom body. You see, Buddha's wisdom body. So now, so that is the ultimate. You know, the ultimate goal of turning this wheel of Eightfold Path is for us to eventually actualize the Buddha's wisdom body, the omniscient Buddha's wisdom body, which is the perfected right view. But we have to start with, you know, very basic practice of what the right view is, isn't it? So that we have not discussed. So I'm kind of giving overall picture, you know, like turn the wheel of Dharma 2 round, and now we reach all the way up to Buddhahood, isn't it? So now we go back to the root. So we start to turn the first time in our life the wheel of the Eightfold Path. So then that is start with the right view. So now when you talk about right view, there's a two knowledge that we need to understand. One is the right view in relation to the, you know, conventional perspective, and right view in relation to the ultimate perspective. So right view in relation to the conventional perspective is right view of, you know, right view of asserting cause and effect, asserting the existence of cause and effect. You know, if you want to put the religious term, then need to assert karma. You know, but if you don't want to discuss, even to use that karma, then at least to assert, at least to accept the reality of causality. You know, and that can be easily can relate even to those scientific, I mean, those who are not yet, you know, accepting the religious kind of understanding of karma, but who are already, you know, well educated in science, or who really accept the common sense. In our common sense, you know, everything you see is a function of causality, you know, function of interdependent rising, isn't it? Such as children and parent. Without parent, cannot have children. You know, without fire, cannot have smoke. You see, without the people, cannot have the country. So you see, so if you take this further understanding, then without right cause for happiness, then there's no happiness. With the cause of suffering, therefore there's a suffering. You know, why we experience happiness is byproduct of right cause of that happiness, which are the virtue. Why we are experiencing suffering? Because there's a cause, and the cause are the negative action of the past that conditioning to experience suffering. So in any way, the conventional aspect of the right view is to, as a practitioner, to understand, then have conviction in in causality, in interdependent arisings. So by asserting causality, it clear great great degree of wrong views. You see, just asserting causality, cause and effect. Then the understanding of a causality or interdependent arising, if you want to take even further, more deeper level understanding, it can even go all the way up to the understanding that presented, from Buddhist philosophies, such as, if things and events and experiences are, not directly be able to perceive as an interdependent between concrete cause, the interdependent relation between concrete cause and the result. But at least, there is a further basis where we can able to establish the interdependent arising of, it may be existing interdependent on part and particles, which is slightly more subtle. Even that takes slightly further, more subtle than the interdependent arising very much on the basis of, mental imputation, our thoughts imputation, mental labeling, is very much things and experiences and the event exists because of it's imputed by our mind, because of it's interdependent to the imprint that we carry from the past that arises in experiences, that arises in different experiences, that arises in different phenomena, So this also can carry even more further, more subtle level, which is the understanding of the, the middle way view. Everything exists interdependent on merely labeled by mind. Everything exists interdependent on merely labeled by mind. In order to exist, must depend on something. You see, only by dependent on something can able to bring existence. And that something to be dependable has a degree of levels, from gross to subtle, as I mentioned before. And the subtlest one is the middle way right view, which is the emptiness view of, the emptiness view interpreted in a conventional right view, which is understanding that things are existing interdependent on merely labeled by mind, or things are existing interdependently by labeled by mind, simply by labeled by mind, not just labeled by, not just labeled by mind alone is not enough. Simply labeled by mind, just labeled by mind. Just labeled by mind. So now you see, just to assert, to have a conviction on the basis of asserting the conventional right view with logic and reasoning, they're able to overcome many troubles. They're able to answer so many unanswered questions that we have in our life experiences. Including of the question that why a butcher have a longer life than someone who is vegetarian. Even that question can be answered. Why some very serious Buddhist practitioner looks like more miserable than someone who is completely wild. You can understand. You can understand that, you see. Or why majority Buddhist practitioner, even though the external environment can be very turmoil, very adverse, maybe maybe the health, the place you live, everything maybe not really comfortable, but they are in peace. They always find okay. They are very easy to get acceptance. Very easy to how to say, able to be contented and be happy. They have the courage to move on with the life. Why? You see, why? So all this has to be answered on the basis of the costs that they have accumulated. The cost for this practitioner can be the practice of the Dharma, the practice of the wisdom which teaches from the Dharma. Maybe because of that, even though now at this stage, their outer world is in turmoil, but they're still in peace. Why that butcher live longer life, even though he's butchering, that you can trace back to its causes that he have accumulated in the past lifetimes. That is the one that is ripening now. And as equal as his past good karma of saving life ripening now while he is butchering, also he would not despair. He will not spare free of what he is doing now to experience in the future. You see, and if the butcher understands that, the butcher may stop butchering. Through this causality, the butcher may have a way out to stop the butchering. You see, even though if this is part of the right livelihood we will discuss later, but when you have this conventional right view of understanding causality, then even yourself in the right this very moment in the position of doing intense wrong thing, intense harm to others, like sorry to say that, but let's say the butcher, butchering, killing so many chicken, because of the causality, understand that I commit the karma of killing, so many chicken, but at the same time, he's in the position that if he don't do the butchering, he cannot have the resources to take care of his family. There's only that job is available for him to survive, even to secure his life, to find food. But his heart is completely renounced, completely regret of the action, And just simply because of there's no other way out, and he still has to do, also has a great deal of purification that he can able to get the benefit because of understanding of causality, having right view, you see. So there's one, there's a story of one meditator and one butcher. So that butcher, similar in the position that I have just mentioned, and who come to a position that he really can't bear of butchering because he understands the karmic law, cause and effect of it. So he thought, I'd rather take my own life than continue to butchering animal. So he really come to that kind of regret, that kind of understanding the impact of the law, the karma. So he went to the cliff and he want to die. He jumped from the cliff. So when he jumped from the cliff, he didn't fall on the ground. He able to float. He very much able to fly. He very much able to fly in the sky. Then nearby there's a hermitage where there's a meditator who is observing very serious meditation, and he witnessed that. He know this butcher also, and he always thinking that how bad karma that he has to butcher all the time. So he used to really look down. And the meditator, thought that I'm really, in such a great position. How wonderful. I have so much merit. So when he saw that, oh, even butcher can fly, for me, I'm a meditator. I can surely fly. So unfortunately, the meditator has quite a concrete ego, and the grasping. There's a lot of clinging. And he too take off from the same cliff to check. He was so confident that he can fly, but he fell down and he died. He couldn't fly. So you see, so the moral of the story is that you see, the butcher, even though his position in that kind of negative environment, but due to the wisdom that he have in relation to karmic law, cause and effect, that he have a genuine sense of renunciation. There's no clinging at all. There's no aversion, sense of grasping aversion, no sense of attachment aversion, and completely overwhelmed with compassion. You see, so instead of killing, rather I die. Because if I live, I need to eat, I need to survive, and in order to eat, I need to get earning, and that's the only way. That kind of position. You see. So, but then the meditator, even though he's accumulating a lot of virtue, but the very basic, the strength of, understanding in the view of, the what do you call the negative side of holding, the clinging, grasping. Either it can be ego grasping, or the self-importance grasping, or competitiveness. And that itself is a great amount of accumulation of negative consequences. So you see, so not really aware of that. You see, so because of that, then that you see the result from this, comparing these two. You see, the intensity of renunciation having intensity, having renunciation and not having renunciation brings about the impact to the experiences of individuals' life, you see. So anyway, so the conventional right view, so this is the first one, on the causality. Then the right view of understanding, things and events or entire functioning phenomena as in the nature of impermanent. Freeing your mind, freeing your understanding from the wrong view of permanent grasping, like such as permanent grasping to the things that you have in your life, the events that comes in your life, the experiences that comes in your life. If we look carefully, like even ourselves now, we have this great deal of permanent grasping, permanent grasping to our identity, permanent grasping to our body, permanent grasping to our loved one, permanent grasping to things that you have aversion, permanent grasping to the lifespan, you see, permanent grasping to things that you have already experienced and is already past, but you still hold on to it, you see. And we have a lot of fixation of our future events. Then whatever thoughts that comes in our mind, we have some sense of fixation, grasping, holding on to it, keep unable to let go, repeatedly kind of hanging on to it, even though by nature it's already past, even though by nature it is already in the nature of momentarily changes, it's already gone, no more existent. But then we, there's so many things we grasp, we hold on to as if it's still in the present moment. There's so many things, isn't it? And that brings so much suffering to our life. There's so many things that in actual fact is already past. Nothing can reverse. But then our idea, our view, we have some kind of concrete view that still as if, it's still in the present moment, you see. So, so therefore, that's a great kind of deal of bringing suffering to our life. When we don't have this, wisdom of impermanent nature in any form of functioning phenomena, any tangible phenomena, any functioning like such as our mind, everything. It lies in the nature of impermanent, you see. So, so holding the right view of impermanent nature as, impermanent nature onto all the functioning phenomena bring immense of freedom from grasping, immense of freedom from the suffering that which committed by the grasping of permanent onto it. You see, so this is a very basic and very initial thing as someone who want to follow Buddha's path, that for us to have this correct thinking, this correct view, you see. So therefore, any good thing comes in our way, we appreciate, we enjoy, but never hold on to it. Because understand that it also lies in nature of impermanent. If I hold on to it, because nature is going away. You hold on to it, it will bring the suffering of changes, you see, or suffering of no more, you see. So any suffering comes in our way, any problem comes in our way, also we need to, as a Buddhist, we need to understand that this also lies in nature of momentarily changes. It's impermanent nature. So therefore, I don't have to be so depressed as if this problem going to last forever. This problem too come in and it will go. Or in fact, it's already gone. This problem that one just experienced, in actual reality, the previous moment where you're feeling that you are suffering is in fact literally no more existent in the present moment. It's the new moment. It can be continuation of the next continuation of the previous suffering that you experienced. That can be true, but it is absolutely false of the suffering that you just experienced before is still living in the present moment. That is untrue, you see. So therefore, it really brings a great benefit to secure our inner peace, or to have confidence, to have hopefulness, to have positivity, to really have the courage to move on, or courage to, or have faith there's a better day tomorrow, better day later, is for us to have this impermanent, wisdom of impermanent nature, or the right view of impermanent nature in all functioning phenomena. So that's one of the conventional aspect of the right view. So another conventional aspect of the right view is to understand the impure as a impure. So right this very moment, many of us, we hold impure as a pure, like such as the contaminated aggregates. Why we attach so much is because we hold on to the wrong view of regarding as pure. So we need to understand, it doesn't mean that we abuse our body. It doesn't mean we should abuse our aggregates or abandon it doesn't mean that. We simply, to have the right view of understanding impure as impure, and not to attach. Not to attach onto it. Like many things, many good things that you take care of it, but you have a choice not to attach onto it. Like this cup, it's so beautiful. You can have it, but you can practice of detachment, so that if someone steals this mug or I break this mug, I have no heartbreak. So we have to practice similar to our body, and yeah, especially here, it's similar to our body, and also the body of others. The body of others, especially the object that we desirelessly attach and have this possessive attachment, grasping, which can be which karmically is very, very, very harmful, because it creates negative karma, and the mind itself, that wrong view itself is a delusion, and that also create negative energy, negative consequences, and it has a great deal of bringing suffering result in the future. So therefore, we understand that the nature of our aggregates, especially the physical aggregates, that it is very much rationalized to yourself that this body is, I cannot attach like it is mine. It is not true, isn't it? Because this body is, in fact, is rendered from our parent. You see, so from that point already, it's my body. You harm my body. Now my body is experiencing sickness. I'm tremendous stress. If we have the basic wisdom of that you share this body with at least two other people, your parents, the burden is, very much kind of relaxed. and more than that, the grasping of mind can able to release it. When you release that, then any events that in relation to our body, even in the position of the one day when we discard our body, when we go through the decaying of our body, even when we experience the death, we won't have this very intense suffering of separation from our body. One of the most painful experiences of a dying being, whether to do with animal or whether to do with especially humans, when we pass away, one of the greatest distraction, greatest suffering is suffering of cannot separate from our body, because it's every single moment from the day one, all the time, we care about this body. We always have a full focus, concern of this body, you see, because of that. So when it comes to death process, you're literally kind of separating. Something is completely yours. So if we train from now of the right view of that, that this in fact is rendered body, then it helps. And more than that, there's nothing to attach, because the nature is impure. When we regard that, So one thing that we also have to clarify that, as I mentioned before, you understand why it is impure, but at the same time, you need to take care of it, because it is a great vehicle where you can utilize to fulfill the meaning of life, including enlightenment. We talk about precious human rebirth, isn't it? This body play a tremendous role to achieve, unbelievable great virtues. Like, many of you have learned about the benefit of prostration. Only when you have this body, you can do prostration. When you don't have physical body, how to do prostration? The one, when your whole body do the long prostration, touch on the ground, the amount of the dust under the ground, all the way miles and miles underneath, the number of that amount, you create the karma or the merit to be born as a wheel-turning king, like the King Ashoka, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. They are wheel-turning king. Can you imagine? So without this body, even you're born as a god, also you don't, like there's a formless god, no opportunity, isn't it? So therefore, you have a detachment, but at the same time, you have to treasure it, understanding the meaning of this body, you see. Then another wrong view, the conventional, the understanding of wrong view is wrong view of regarding or grasping suffering as a happiness. Suffering as happiness, or like such as suffering of change. We very much like such as our usual sensual pleasure we regard as happiness. In fact, the sensual pleasures are by nature it is suffering. You see, so because of we have wrong view of asserting sensual pleasures are true pleasure, great deal of our times are wasted because of the distraction to the sensual comfort, sensual pleasures. You see, so, to do with the taste, to do with our eye senses, to do with the feeling, to do all the five senses, very much whatever they experience while we're carrying this samsaric body is very much, experience of suffering of change, but we still regard as a pleasure, So because of that, large amount of time in our day-to-day life, we get distracted by that. You see, so if we have a right view that we regard that the samsaric pleasures are suffering, then we have a right view to focus on gathering virtues for the genuine, virtues causes for genuine happiness. We try to secure our inner peace by cultivation of such as meditations, actualizing wisdom of emptiness, cultivation of altruism. All these things will help us to bring inner peace, help us to accumulate abundance of virtuous merit that which will result true happiness, isn't it? So therefore, one of the wrong view is that. So now, I think I'm supposed to stop for the question and answer, but maybe I try to finish the right view first. Then after that, then yes. Yeah, so the conventional aspect of right view very much like that. Now the ultimate right view. So the ultimate right view here, so at least, yeah. So, at least at the beginning, intellectually, try to apprehend the meaning of no self, emptiness of self. Then gradually, to actualize the emptiness of phenomena. So in short, the ultimate right view is the emptiness. Of course, here we are talking about, for the very beginner, how to actualize this Eightfold Path, isn't it? So therefore, first, we at least, learn about no self, learn about emptiness of self. Then emptiness of phenomena. Then after that, try to contemplate on it. Then gradually to meditate on it. To really, really deeply get impacted to your perception. When your perceptions are dealing with its phenomena. The real benefit of the right view, the absolute benefit of the right view comes when you really start to meditate on it, you see. But just even knowing the intellectual understanding of no self already, brings some kind of, how to say, some some relief whenever your senses relate to the phenomenon, it is object. Whenever your mind relate to it is object, or whenever you have this the emptiness of self, then all the problem that we suffer from delusion will very much kind of decrease, you see. So therefore, So first, understand that self is empty. The no self is ultimate, or the self is empty because self is free from independent existence. Yeah, self definitely is not independent existence, isn't it? Self had to exist dependent on parents, dependent on so many factors. So, but we have this kind of spontaneous, arising of independent existence of I, of the self. You see, then the self is also not in the nature of permanent. So therefore, that you don't have to kind of like, it helps to reduce the concrete kind of, egoic grasping of I, when you have this idea of self is empty or being in permanent nature, or self, then self is also free from, free from autonomy existent. You see, self. So here comes again a great distinction between other religious belief. What do you mean by self is free from autonomic, production? Is very much saying that self is not created by God. Self is not created by kind of some other factor. Self, other superpower. Such as like a God. You see, the self is very much, created by so many other, collective factors, not one ultimate factors. So many collective factors. In Buddhist, we can say by our past karma, by our past continuum of the consciousness, is the one that bring about this very self, isn't it? So this is the first step to have a right view of ultimate right view about self, which is no self, or the emptiness of self. You see, then once you develop this, well understanding, then apply the same reasoning to your aggregates, like form aggregates, feeling aggregates, mental aggregates, all the rest of the aggregates. Then rest of the phenomena, whatever you see, whatever you think, whatever you hear, whatever you taste, everything lies in the same nature like I, of no self. So can you imagine if you're able to bring this to meditation and have gained certain degree of habitual experience, nothing can harm you because there's no self to harm. Because the self lies in the emptiness, isn't it? There's no self to be bothered because self lies in the emptiness, you see. But then again, it doesn't mean that you're completely disappeared. Remember that the conventional, the reality, but then again, from the conventional reality, the right view, but you have a much more acceptance kind of mind. I suffer because I commit the cause. I suffer. I'm samsaric person because I created the cause. Yeah, but that doesn't mean I have to forever have to suffer, because I can apply antidotes. I can purify them so that I can move on to a no more suffering. So it's a very kind of relieving. You see, not completely kind of become a denial or losing yourself, or either you fall into nihilism or either you fall into inner nihilism. You're really able to be a very constructive, working very steadily in the middle way, You see, so it's kind of like a balance. You become a balanced person, then after that, then you start to understand that you take slightly further, more deeper level of understanding of no self. Why self is empty? Because the self is empty of true existence. you see, or self is empty of true existence in anywhere in the existence. You know, self do not exist in the form, self do not exist within the aggregate, self do not exist without the aggregate. You see, so self is really an illustration of your mind, illustration of your illustration of the construction of your own idea, which actual fact is true, you see. So now that also, if you take slightly more further, deeper level, then you come to an understanding that why there's no self, because self is just simply the name. You know, other than name, nothing really exists, because its self is really absolutely free of inherent existence, absolutely free of true existence, you see, absolutely free of dualistic existence, you see. So, so you get to, you know, come to a conclusion that self and also rest of the phenomena is simply, you know, exists in the label, you know, simply exists in the label. So now, whenever experiences comes in our way, you try to examine that experiences on the basis of this understanding, always you will end up finding no experiences of that. You come to a conclusion of no origin of the experiences. Let's say suffering. Suddenly you kind of emotionally suffering, and you apply the emptiness wisdom of no self into that suffering experience. You investigate where is that suffering? You know, where is that suffering? Within the aggregate, without the aggregate, or somewhere in between? You see? So the conclusion is you will come to a position that there's no origin of that suffering. There's no cessation from that suffering. You know, there's no different taste of no suffering from the suffering. You know, there's no different taste. There's no different characteristic from the suffering from no suffering. You know, and that you can relate including to the samsara and the liberation. You know, even samsara and liberation also, there's no different taste. You know, ultimately it really comes to a one taste. One taste. So why we are stuck? If it's one taste, then why we are still stuck in samsara? Why we are stuck in the problem? Therefore, you are stuck in a problem because you created by your mind, because things are mainly labeled by your mind. So you mainly label samsara, you are in samsara. You know, so if you put Buddha and, you know, Buddha and myself here, two together, you know, Buddha say, I'm in Pure Land. I would say, no, you're wrong. I'm in samsara, miserable realm. You know, and Buddha is really correct that he is in Pure Land. And I'm also, you know, my own right is correct because I'm in miserable realm, because my perception is miserable. You see, my imputation is miserable. My mind is miserable, you know, isn't it? So like that. So this is the right view. So, okay, so first we learn basic, you know, like learn the right view. Then after that, it will lead to the right intention. So before we move to right intention, we have a short break. Or maybe have a question, if any question. Then after that, we have a short break. Then we resume. Any discussion? Any debate? If no, no problem.
I think, Geshe, that this path is very, very tricky. No wonder it's like a wheel, because the way you described it, there's no beginning nor end. Because if you're an egomaniac, you know, the things that he's always right, for example, why would you want to change this situation anyway? And then you learn the right view. somehow. And then you become miserable because you know that the right view is not your view. And it goes on and on and on and on and on.
So even our samsara, like this very body, this very really, the old aging body is really created by our mind, because delusion is the one, let's say attachment, grasping is the starting point. Even we just link to just previous life, don't even have to go back to the much more than that. Then the action of copulation. Then the substance of father mother substance, you see. Then this human fetus came about. Then this human body came about. If at the very beginning there's no any form of delusion, we don't have to have this rebirth, isn't it? Then because of this rebirth, that's why we have so many things, like foods, clothes, shelter. But for that, in today's time, we have to earn, and in order to earn, so much challenges. In a bigger picture, why there's like war. The fundamentally is a greed or aversion or grasping, because of the human being who have this kind of emotion. It arises within the human aggregates, and this human aggregates is conceived initially with the mind. So that's why it's even from this extent we can say everything is mainly labeled by mind. So it's not just like kind of saying that my body is mainly labeled by mind and I can disobey my body. Now I want to label no more body. It doesn't work. We have to understand beyond that.
Geshe, I had one question. I was very confused about the pure and impure definition, because, for example, if we have babies or pets, then we change their diapers and we still think they're pure. I mean, how do we come about understanding that something is not pure as they think and it's not the source of happiness? Like, what is the process of analyzing it?
Yeah, that's why pure and impure is very much a reflection of your mind. So we as a human being, not all human beings, some human being, babies, is something very exciting, it's nothing, nothing awful, but for someone who don't like baby, then that's awful, that cannot even get near, so it's in fact it's very subjective, like when we comparing with the animal, there are certain animal that which their main food is a feces, and for them is delicious, but then for us is of course no way, and not only that, even just like few product of tea, some tea, for some people have allergy, some people don't, some people like this, some people don't like that. Even just in one object, let's say one red rose. Some people like the red rose, some people don't like the color, don't like the rose itself, don't like the smell of it, and for some people, bunch of let's say in the bush, completely filled with the weed, and the person's perception is not open. I mean, with negative, only see the weed. But if the person's mind is open, from the entire field of wheat, there's one tiny small flower, and that for that person only can spot that flower and enjoy, happy. You don't see the wheat at all. So like that. It's I think very subjective. Very subjective. That's the kind of very much like a natural process, natural kind of beings' expression based on their past, influence. But then, through practice, then even to the impure one, you can experience pure. You can see pure. Like in a deity yoga practices, when we talk about this nectar, 5 elements to make the nectar is awful one, like human meat, elephant meat, dog meat, and horse meat, So these are the element that which make nectar. Nectar means blissful. That which we literally use in the tantric rituals. The substance like that but that is very much like teasing to the practitioner to really, bring about the highest level of constructive concentration to really to bring about purification of that substance, because in actual reality, there's no inherent impurity in those substances, isn't it? So in that kind of level of practice, then you really there's no impurity. So everything can be pure. Then our view, our experiences also build some kind of impure view, pure views. For some people, who are very used in the garden, for them to just put their bare hand in the soil and the manure, for them is no problem. And after that, they don't even wash their hand properly. They use meal, it like that. And their view is already created, very much developed on their daily kind of habitual activities. That until they have this view of that, I have no problem with that, even though there is, for someone who has a HD, what do you call ADHD, then even the slight dust, or even they didn't touch at all also, if they don't wash 10, 20 times, they feel that there's a dirt. And those kind of view is very much built through your habitual, experiences. You have some basic kind of conditions. Then after that, you accumulate in your mind. Then eventually it becomes your view, and that for that person, difficult to say whether it's a right view or wrong view. If that brings happiness, then conventionally, maybe this is okay for them. If this brings suffering, then conventionally it's a wrong view, shouldn't. But I think here, when we talk about right view and wrong view, is very much in concern of liberation from entirety of impurities and sufferings. So maybe entire different religion can also discuss about its Eightfold Path. But here, the Eightfold Path in relation to Buddhist teaching also can be discussed based on the Hinayana path. So that will be slightly milder. And if you discuss based on the Mahayana path, then both the view and attitude become more extended one. An example, when we talk about the the conventional right view, maybe I didn't really elaborate before. For the Hinayana, within the Buddhist two major schools, for the Hinayana, it's very much as long as that you observe, virtuous conduct, then it will deliver the liberation. So that is good enough. But for the Mahayanic practitioner, simply observing virtuous conduct that will just able to deliver your liberation is not good enough. For Mahayana, the conventional right view that you build in your idea is the altruistic kind of view. Then the ultimate view of emptiness for the Hinayana path, you can talk about no self in relation to the self, object as a self. But then for the Mahayana, very much focus on the emptiness of the phenomena. So like that. Don't know whether I answer your question or not. Do you need some break to get some tea, biscuits? I also want to make sure you don't get hungry. Your lunchtime is approaching, isn't it?